So she's here with me today. We're going to cheat and gist about life in Australia and what it has been like. What did I say? Chit-Chat. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Abisola Olu-Ojo. So I welcome you on board my channel and I hope that you stay. If you are returning, welcome back to the channel guys. So on today's video, I have my sister-in-law with me and we're going to be talking about our lives in Australia so far. I've been here 5 years and she's been here 3 years plus. So we'll just talk about our experiences so far, how living here has changed us. We'll probably share the good and bad experiences. So if you're interested, please keep watching. So let's get straight into the video. I'll have Senior Olu-Ojo introduce herself.
Okay, thank you. Well, you already said my name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Senior Olu-Ojo. I moved to Australia in 2019, just before our dear friend COVID hit. I came in with my family as well. Yeah, we've been in Australia ever since. We moved from Nigeria. Not sure what else I need to say about myself.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, and I do other things by the side. Makeup for one.
Makeup artists.
Makeup for one, but yeah, and looking at other opportunities in the future. But yeah, that's basic.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what I want us to go into more detail about, because relocating is a big deal here. You leave what you're very familiar with back home in Nigeria. You leave your friends, you leave your job and everything basically, and you come into a whole new environment, and then adjusting can be a big deal. Yeah. So I'll have her share first with us what it has been like adjusting. You've adjusted already in 3 years, so just like in the beginning, what was that? In the beginning, in the beginning, what was that like for you?
I don't. Well, okay. My experience is my experience, right? So I think you made it. It was easier, I think, for me just because you were already here.
Yeah.
So I had that soft landing, if you would. So it was. I don't think it would have. I think it would have been more difficult if I didn't have her here before I resumed before I resumed before I came into the country. But that being said, I feel like there's still that adjustment phase. I think the first thing for me is I'm a very family mommy that is somebody.
Yes, you are.
So so just taking me out of that, my obviously being married, I've left my family house, like my dad and mom's house, but just taking me out of that familiar environment, having them around, was a bit of an adjustment for me. I think initially when I came in, I get stuck to my family
every day, like several times in a day.
Several times in a day, every day. Like it was, I needed that connection. Just
and
to know
then
that
you were
I still had that. And then I came in pregnant.
Yeah.
I traveled 28 weeks and a few days. So like coming in, my focus was, and imagine, I mean, for those that know what pregnancy is like, you're already 28 weeks, you don't have anything for baby, because it didn't make sense to buy anything from Nigeria. We're moving here permanently, right? So the first few weeks was just ensuring that I get registered at the hospital, get stuff Medicare, ensuring that I started to get things that baby needs as well, so which really helped with. So yeah, I feel like it was a bit of an adjustment, but I feel like I still had it good. Yeah. Given the fact that you were here, you pointed me in the right direction. I mean, by the end of the first week, I'd already done Centrelink, Medicare, all of those things.
I was pushing you.
Yeah, as in that. And Auntie Karen, one ring gone. And I know you know what that means, like she can waka. Like she can waka.
To be honest, so, I think learning to waka was thanks to my husband, because we had similar experiences in a way. I also came in pregnant in 2017. I came in pregnant, and then my husband was so keen to get everything done. So the day we landed, we were already going everywhere. We did Centrelink the same day we landed. There was no chill, there was no break. So I think I was able to rub on you that way to get things done really quickly, and it paid off.
I think so. It paid off. But I was able to. I mean, I think that first week was when I went to the hospital as well and just got stuff going, because obviously I was way ahead in pregnancy, so I needed to be established, because baby was going to come in 2 months, pretty much. So I think it really helped, to be honest.
Honestly, not everybody will have the privilege of having someone in the country you relocate to. She had me, but when we came, I didn't have family per se, but then my husband had, hooked up with some friends, and when they came here, they reconnected, and they were also very helpful. So I think that you might not have family here, but if you come in and you're looking to settle, just find a way to get integrated, either by going to church or joining some groups or platforms that you find here and there, and somehow you just always find people.
I feel like Nigerians well, if you're coming from Nigeria or even Africans, you find Africans everywhere in Australia. You will. Even though yes, they may not be. I feel like maybe it's harder for like adults to make friends.
Yes.
But just take that step in trying to build that community at least at first.
Absolutely.
So you don't feel you need
like when you come in initially, you don't think you figure it out by yourself.
You will, but it just makes it easier.
Because you can ask questions. They can show you around. That's how we met. I think. Our church was through somebody. Until date, that's the church we still attend. I dragged you there as well, and we still attend the same church.
I mean, there are a bunch of amazing people.
We built a family.
It's a family. That's the word you use to describe church.
I'm grateful. So, I feel like for everybody that comes, the first few days or weeks or months will be hectic, stressful. You feel alone, you feel lonely, but it gets better after a while. And how quickly it gets better also depends on how willing you are to open up yourself to meeting people. It's very important. All right. Okay. So talk about career. What were you doing in Nigeria, and then when you came here, how did you get back into the workforce?
Okay. So what I was doing in Nigeria, I was an external auditor in Nigeria, working in one of the big 4 accounting firms. And that's what I was doing in Nigeria. And then when I was coming to Australia, I resigned from that position and came in, obviously with the hopes that obviously I'll get something. But definitely after baby, I was looking to take a break as well, just for like maternity leave. But then I feel like by the beginning of, and for those that are non-Christians, sorry, I'll bring up God a lot in our conversation. There are a lot of things that I feel, I can't take that away. So from the discussions I had with people, and then obviously talking with you and your husband as well, it was just like, okay, even though yes, I really wanted to take at least a minimum of 6 months after my baby arrived to just be a mom and get myself together before getting back into the workspace. Obviously, no one saw COVID coming. I feel like that's also where God comes in, right? So I had that leading or push to okay, and it was all based on okay, it will take 6 months, around 6 months of applying and all of that for you to get a job. So my thinking was, I had my baby in September. So my thinking was, okay, if I start applying in November, if I was gonna start work in, I think I was thinking about March that time.
That would take
it would take that long for me to. So let me start applying from November so that by the time at least by March I'll have something, right? That was my plan. But I think I applied. I think it was the first week of November. 2 days later, I got the 2 places I applied to. The 2 of them called me and said, oh, okay, we want you to come in for an interview. I'm like, 2 days, I'm not ready. Well, okay, let's go. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right?
How do you translate Egbami?
Help me. Okay. So I was like, help me, like, am I ready? Blah, blah, blah. But okay, I'm like, yeah, let's go in for the interview, right? So I think that was the first time. My baby was just 2 months then, and I had to drop her at daycare. So I was like, oh my god, that was my first introduction to daycare here as well in Australia. So I did the interview, and in all honesty, to be honest, I'm like, I'm not ready to get back into the workforce. I don't think I did that well, blah, blah, blah. But I think I went in the morning, and then by the afternoon, we were at the mall.
We went to Carousel.
Yeah, we went to Carousel, and then they called me. I'm like, oh, they want you to interview with our partners. I'm like, okay, this is going a bit faster than I thought, but thank God for favor, right? So I did that first interview on a Tuesday. They wanted me to come in to speak to the partner on the Thursday. And then I went on Thursday. And that one, I felt like the first one was even better. The one with the partner, I was just doing So I was like, see me. And then for me, just coming into Australia, like obviously different from Nigeria, so you feel like you want to impress the white people, right?
Oh my god.
You want to like, and I felt like, was I talking well? Did they even understand what I was saying? All of those things were running through my mind, and that's why I was like, okay, I probably did not do that interview well enough because I was in my head a lot. And then I think on Thursday I did that. On Friday, they called me and like, oh, the partners are happy, they want to give you a job. I'm like, okay.
And I was telling my sister, firebrand.
I'm like, okay. I mean, we just applied when.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, it's happening too fast. My main concern actually was my baby. I felt like she was going to be too young to get into childcare.
And people had their concerns about
it. A lot of people shared their opinions with me. So I was really torn and like, am I doing the best thing for her
your child
by going ahead to take this job? But obviously, another thing is, even though yes, I was staying with my sister and I was fine, but that, I mean, there's somebody that will not think about it. Like that financial this thing, you want to be independent. You need that, and it's not any like you're wearing. I didn't get any pressure or anything. I was fine to stay there for as long as I wanted, but I just felt like okay, this would also help with money coming in and all of that. At least for me to start to get on my feet and at some point get independent, get my own place, all of that. So I was like, okay. I would deal with this mom guilt. I would do the best I can for my daughter at that time, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll take the job in January. And that's how I started. And the funny thing in this whole career story was that March was when I was thinking that I was going to get a job. That was when COVID then hit. And then Australia went into lockdown. And there was a recruitment freeze. So imagine if you had waited, I wouldn't have gotten a job. So that's why I said the God factor comes in. Like,
and that's how
he pushed me ahead to get that job, knowing what was coming, right?
God always sees ahead of us.
I mean, it was just God's favor. So
and even though you had to put baby in
childcare, she ended up being fine. She was okay. I mean, you won't take away the fact that maybe she just has a cold or think it's because I took her to childcare early or something.
I mean, the mom guilt to come in once in a while. But I feel like as moms, just bear in mind that you're doing the best for your child. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do, to be honest. She's fine. She's thriving now. So we've touched on what it was like arriving and a bit of career, a bit of childcare. And I want us to share about what 2020 was like for us up until now. That was when COVID hit, and it was a difficult time for both of us in a very significant way, to be honest. We're both married, we both have children. But when COVID struck, it struck hard. I'm thankful for how God caused some things to align for us even in those moments. But it was a very dark time, and I'm sure that many families were affected as well. And as far as marriage, it struck. So in 2020, my husband as well as hers had to go back to Nigeria for work, and when COVID hit,
we went back in 2019.
2019.
But with the plan to come back.
The plan was to go and come back, but they couldn't come back. And for a very extended period of time, we were without husband. We were husbandless. And that was a very difficult time. I would share a bit of how it was for me. So I have 2 kids, and at the time, my career was taking a different turn. I had just begun a job with the bank, and it was intense, having to be present at work, having to be there for your children, navigating motherhood, navigating being an employee, and all of those things, and not having a man present in the house. It affected me big time, I feel like I went into a big shell at that time. I wasn't my best self, because I mean, when you're married to someone you see every day, for me for the past 8 years, I had been seeing this man every day, and then suddenly he was nowhere to be found. And I feel like if I was in Nigeria, it would have been easier, because then there's family and there's people who and they know you well. I'm not saying that I don't have those kind of people here even now, but it was just different. I mean, it's a foreign land, to be honest, and then I didn't have any of that. It was just very difficult, And then having my kids, they would say, "Where's daddy?" I'm like, "Oh my God."
That was difficult.
It was difficult. Explain to them.
I mean,
and
for
then,
me, Annie was small.
She was little. She was a baby.
So I didn't have those questions, but I bothered about it.
You were worried for her.
The idea was, okay, you raise your kids together, right? So
and then for that age, I mean, she's already learning stuff. So she would see other babies with their dads and be like, we don't have daddy. So it was similar. And then my kids, I think because yours was younger, my kids were older and they were more aware. So they were asking all the questions. And then I'll say, COVID. I had to even educate them that, this is what it is. there's COVID, they can't travel right now,
Yeah.
they'll be away for a while. But then we had to be very intentional.
About
So
it,
several, yeah, that's in one way, and then also just ensuring that we are opening communication with the dad. So several calls in a day, for several hours on the phone. At some point, my girl was like, "Oh, my daddy lives in the phone."
I remember that.
Oh my God! So it was difficult, and there were times I would cry, cry indoors, and then wake up showing strong face again, like I'm handling this well. But no, it was very tedious, and it was an extended period of time.
Yeah.
So share, how was it for you?
Well, similar, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like my own was, how am I going to get through this, starting a new job, having a new, like, it's not like I've been a mom before, my first baby, and just having that support, being absent, like support of my husband being away, was just very difficult. But I feel like my motto was always one day at a time.
Absolutely.
Let's get through today. Tomorrow we'll come back. And I feel like I also allowed myself, no, I won't say be down, but like if I needed to feel something, if I was sad, I was sad. Like, I'm not going to
open about how you feel.
I'm not going to be show brave face, and just because at some point it will come down, right? So if I was feeling sad, I would express that. If I needed to cry, I would cry. I would my baby girl, I would cry. I feel like I'm a single mom, but then we move on, we call daddy again. And obviously, and the good thing I feel like we had was our husbands were quite understanding and very supportive, even though they were not physically present. So as whatever they could do from Nigeria to make it easier for us, they would do. So calls, just maybe even sending surprise stuff once in a while. Just trying to make us feel like she's now like we still have husbands.
I recall times where, even though I was working from home, I would talk to him on the phone and say, I'm very hungry, I've not had breakfast today. And in a few minutes, I'll get a knock on the door and there'll be Uber Eats. I'm like, wow, husband is performing.
So that was good. That helps to just, and it doesn't minimize the effect of not having a partner around for like a long period of time, but it did make it a bit easier to, and then just that, I guess, again, faith in God that it's not forever, it's going to end at some point. When I don't know, because we weren't sure at that point. But and then for Australia, so they added support. When everybody had opened, when other countries had opened, Australia added, and then we are in Western Australia, so additional this thing again for Western Australia. So it was longer than what we thought it would be. But I think the summary of it all is, during that time, God really just showed up. God helped us. God strengthened us, and we're able to get through it.
And honestly, I feel like that season even made me more grateful for the gift of my sister-in-law, because we're able to really rely on each other. In fact, what's the word? Codependent. Oh my God! So we're able to
make fun of ourselves. That we said we are not in a relationship.
Well, husband and wife. We're able to really help each other, be there for one another. I can't imagine what would have been like if I didn't have you.
And same here as well.
Very, sister. And then I'm glad that, I feel like for everything that happens to anyone, whenever, there's always a lesson or lessons to be learned from those experiences. I learned a lot. It built me. In ways that I can't even take for granted. I'm very grateful. Not grateful. How do I say this now?
I understand. I don't know if you
understand. It's complicated. But I'm grateful for the lessons I learned in that season. And that's why I always tell people that if you hold on to God's word about how all things align for your good, you might not see the end. You might not see the light at the end of that tunnel. But God is so intentional.
And I feel like you will not even be complete if you don't mention the fact that wasn't during that time that you I guess fell down to obedience to God and started.
I yielded, like my shoulders were. I was
like there was nothing else.
I have a video like that already. That talks about how
so there was nothing else you could like.
I had to just look at God, like, okay, Baba God, like this is happening right now. Let's just do this. And then even for you as well, you began your makeup business
Yeah.
it built us.
Yeah,
it built us.
It was a
And
good
I guess,
time in another way.
and I guess to encourage people who feel like it's a difficult season, you don't know what's happening, you can't see the end, all you see is that storm. Just chill with God. Like, I don't know how else to define spending time with God. I feel like it builds your capacity, it builds how well you can endure situations. And whenever it passes, you would see the lessons and be grateful. No matter how difficult it might be, there's always lessons that you'll be grateful for. So that was my experience, definitely. So just generally around how living here has changed me. The summary is that I'm stronger. I'm a stronger person. I feel like my life was very chill in Nigeria. Like, I was just, lounging. I feel like being here, having house help and all of that, I feel like being here has really built my capacity as a mom, as a wife. I'm a stronger mom and I'm a stronger wife. Now I'm very intentional. Spiritually, because here, man, I think it's different from Nigeria in so many ways. And I feel like anybody who is living outside Nigeria or their home country can relate to this, because here you are really trying to figure out things by yourself. A lot of planning, administrative work has to be done every day. So if you are a believer, like, your strength is from relying on God. You cannot trust yourself to figure things out on your own. Yeah, absolutely. That's made me stronger generally. How has it changed you?
I'll start from being stronger.
Yes.
Yeah, like, I can't take away the fact that, taking me out of, as I said earlier, Nigeria, where I was very in a cocoon, if that's what I would say. Like, my mom, I remember before I even traveled, like, when I was pregnant, my mom would send me food every day. Like, I was just, they were taking care of me.
Yes, I remember that as well.
I was just taken care of, but I was relaxing and being taken care of in Nigeria. But stepping out of that, and I feel like it's also, at some point in your journey with God, He needs you to grow. Like, if you are still being under the shadow or just being comfortable is the word, you will not grow and develop to where you feel like, okay, I need to rely on God more, I need to seek God for myself, I need to build that personal relationship with Him.
And I feel like that growth is mostly when God will pull you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and most times you won't even see it coming. Like, for me, I didn't see it coming. Like, even when I said I didn't see it coming, obviously I was moving out of Nigeria, so I was going to be alone. But
this girl has grown. You're not the girl I used to know.
But in terms of I think I've grown. Even how I deal with situations has grown very different. I used to be someone that, if I deal with, and I'm still that way a bit. Like, I internalize a lot. So, like, I deal with stuff in my head. In my head, I finish the whole scenario. Like, the conversation, if I have an issue, like, for example, if I have an issue with her, I've had the conversation of both of us in my head. So, like, all the assumptions, everything, I've finished it in my head.
Oh my goodness.
Let's be serious now. Like, I used to be very, I don't like to deal with stuff. I would deal with it in my own time,
very opposite of that.
In my mind, in my head. I think about it. Then once I'm fine with it, we can continue from where we like. I probably don't even want to have a conversation about what happened. So far, I'm fine with it in my head. Then we move on, right? But now I've learned that, okay, there are other ways to handle conflict. There are other ways to handle things. So that has changed about me as well. Then just in terms of career, knowing that there is more, like, just being more exposed to how the different work environment from Nigeria. And I feel like, obviously, Nigeria is another topic on its own, but it just makes you know that if you don't get out of where you think, oh, it's all good, you will not know that there is more that you can aspire to and you can achieve, right? And also just being more confident to step out and open up my business, or open myself up to having a business and just interacting with people, being a better mom. I don't know what version of a mom I would have been in Nigeria, because I never had a chance to be one there.
Yeah.
But I feel like I may just have been more reliant on help and all of
I
that.
think
But
so
now,
too.
just very intentional about my daughter, how she's growing, what kind of role model I am to her, and then just the values that you instill in a Christian child growing up in this kind of environment. I mean, that's probably another topic for another video. But just all of those things, right, just makes you, it just builds you up, it makes you stronger, right? In the growth process, it may not be comfortable, it may not be the best experience, because you just naturally, we all just want to be comfortable, but at the end of it, like when you get to the other side, it just makes sense.
It makes sense.
And then on the spiritual side of things as well, like just growth. I think it was also during this 2020-2021 period that we also did FFBS. That that was,
plenty stories. I feel like we can't exhaust all the stories.
So that was a good whatever for me. Like, obviously I was raised in a Christian home, but just starting to now see God, have experiences with Him on your own, it makes Him come alive. It's not just one God that they talk about. It's real to you. So in these 3 years, I've had experiences with God. I know that God does truly care about me. God actually is intentional about where He's leading me to.
Step of
and I don't still see the full picture, but I know that there is more. And that Bible passage, that the thoughts I have for you are thoughts of good and not of evil.
Absolutely.
I hold it more dear to heart now, in that I don't know the fullness of the picture that you have for me, but I know that those thoughts are of good. And if I submit myself to the pruning, the process, everything, it will be beautiful.
Word.
It will be beautiful in the end. So I think that's the summary of it. It's made me stronger. It's made me more independent. And I've just grown, I would say, in every aspect.
And that independence one, so I can speak to it a little bit. It has made me very independent in ways that I have to be careful sometimes.
As married women.
Yes. Because when you are building a career, you're working, you're making your Australian dollars, you feel like your shoulder is now up. So I feel like that's, and this is not a marriage video or anything.
If you want us to do one, let us know in the comments.
I'm happy to bring her back.
We'll come together and talk about staking, because that's another aspect of it, which can be another video. But it's just, I agree with you.
And just trusting the Holy Spirit to help you stay humble and help you stay submissive. Because you feel like, you're in a new country now, you're more exposed, you know how things work, you're making your own money, and then you feel like you have a say, and then you just can't agree.
Make decisions on your own,
exactly, without even like consulting with your husband. Those are things that I've heard break marriages for those who have relocated to new countries, and daddy's making money, mommy's making money, and everybody feels like, I don't need you, you don't need me, and then the bond of marriage is almost broken, where you cannot submit one to another as Bible asks us to. That's something I've heard about. The different stories from people who live in foreign countries. So you have to be very careful. You have to stay humble in our marriages and just trust God to really help us. And then just speaking of the separation that we had in our marriage, if you could see the future and you knew that COVID would come and you won't have your husband around,
big questions.
Will you make the same decision?
I don't want to say a big no, because as we've talked about all through this video, there have been benefits to it on the other side right now. But I feel like back then, if they told me that, for this extended period of time, your husband was going to be away, I'm a root, I will stay. I would have stayed with my husband, because I just would never have seen myself being able to do all of the things that I've been able to do on my own and more right now. So back then, if I was still back in Nigeria with the mindset I had back in Nigeria and just staying there, and they said, as you're going now, your husband is not going to be with you for 2 years or more, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, we live here in Perth, we don't die here, but we live here, and I would have stayed. But on being on the other side of it, I feel like it was tough, but it got us to a better position. So I feel like
it's dicey, to be honest.
You can't say a full, total, absolute no or yes and all, because
and the reason why I'm asking is it's a trend that we're seeing a lot now, that partners really want to relocate from their home country to a foreign country for greener pastures, and it's understandable. And then they agree that, oh, I'll go and you stay, and then when things are settled, you come, and bad things have happened from that way, you know. And that's why, if you ask me, stick together. That's one thing I know. Even though we've been separated for a period of time, stretched me and made me stronger, I think it's healthier for the marriage to stay together. So if you can choose and it's not a life and death situation, by all means, please travel together. Husband and wife should be together. When you are separated for too long, trust me, the devil sees that as a loophole, and starts, you know, all sorts of things happen, from negative thoughts to temptation to conflict, you know, bad situations. So if you can choose, please stick together. If I could turn tables around, just like she said, I won't say an entire no, because for us, we had a very open communication. We were speaking every day. So it just felt like he wasn't here physically, but 247 virtually was very available. And then we also were stronger for it. I feel like, personally, if I always had my husband, I won't be as strong as I am now, because I used to rely on him very heavily. But now I'm like, why do I even have to bother the guy? Like, I can do this myself, you know. So I've learned to like give him a break and not stress him too much, and he's grateful for it. Trust me, I'm able to do things more myself now, but it's still not a reason to choose to be separated. If you can't stick together, please stick together. But if there's for the health of the marriage, and then also, if you have to be separated, define it. Define it. It's so important. For how long will you be away?
And then
what would this mean? Exactly. What would this mean for us while you are away? Just define it. Let there be a plan, and ensure that you both can stick to the plan. If there's no plan ahead, you don't know how long it will be extended for. You don't know what will happen. Don't do it. That's what I'll say.
And also, just even understanding who you are and who your partner is. Just knowing the kind of husbands we have as well. We were never thinking, what's my husband doing now? Well, I never had that concern. And it's all to the glory of God. Know who you are, know who your partner is, and just, if you feel like you would be that bothered being that,
just stay. I think we'll round off pretty soon. But before I end the video, last question. Do you think you would, is this the final bus stop for you, Australia? Do you think you retire here and live here?
Big question. I don't know. That's the summary of it all. I don't know. Australia is a beautiful place. It's a lovely country. But being here has also opened my eyes to know that there is more.
Absolutely.
So while aspiring to Australia from Nigeria was the
grand plan.
Now that we're here, it's like there's a whole lot of world to explore.
Absolutely.
But that being said, obviously, you plan like what your children's future is like, just so you're not putting them, so they have roots as well. But in terms of, is it all decided? We're never ever leaving Australia. No, it's not decided yet. So I don't know. And then, as we've said, we are children of God. We are children of faith. If God says, "Oh yeah, it is time. Carry your load. You are going somewhere else." I mean,
whenever I ask myself that question, what comes to mind is the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. All of the earth is for me. So I would explore, I would travel. But like she said, finding your roots and being established somewhere. So am I going to retire here? I do not know. I do not know. But then you also consider your children's education, opportunities, better environment, because there's always more, you know. But eventually, last, as God orders our steps, that's the most important factor. I've enjoyed chatting with this lady right here. Let me know if you want me to bring her back again.
Thank you. I hope you do.
It's been fun. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
So please, we would love to read from you as usual. Put your thoughts down in the comment section. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And I will see you on my next video. Bye.